in the works, and how did it come together?
I mean, he decided to test free agency, and we made an offer to him, I want to say a week or so ago. And you guys know the process. It has to be sent over to the other guys, and they have a certain amount of days to respond, which they have not officially responded. I've heard unofficial response, but that's just coming from third-party sources. So, to me, until we get the official letter or email, that he's completely free, we're not going to move forward and sign him until that legal part has taken place.
How quickly do you think that can happen? Do you think he could actually fight on a Bellator before the end of the year?
You know what? Until he's signed, we really don't. We really can't. Have that conversation. But if it's hypothetical, and you're talking about a guy like Rory that is a world-class fighter and probably top 2 or 3 right now, I would say it's really up to him. But if he wanted to fight before the end of the year, we have plenty of fights for him to participate in.
Is there any opponent you would throw right into a title fight, or would you want to build him up a little bit?
We just haven't had that conversation with him, so we want to sit down and talk to him and then go from there.
The rumor is true that you were kind of going after Donald Cerrone as well. I know he has one more fight left on his contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We've said this since I got here, really, it was, we're going to go after every free agent that's available. So if you're a free agent and you want to test the free agency market, give us a call, because, we're going to be a player in this industry.
Thoughts also on the Fighters Union. Someone asked Pitbull earlier his thoughts. Curious as to yours.
What did Pitbull say?
He said some positives, some negatives.
I mean, guys, here's the thing is that it's a complicated situation, as you know. There's all these, it's a crazy time for MMA, let's put it that way. But the union, for me, I know these guys extremely well. And, they fight twice a year, have a shelf life that once it expires, not expires, but once you get to a certain age, you really can't make the kind of money that you're making when you're younger. It's going to be a tough question. I asked Josh Barnett that when we were on Inside MMA. I go, hey, well, Josh, why don't you answer that one? He's like, I'm not missing a fight. So, it's really a tough thing, because these guys it's not a team sport. It's an individual sport. And, I think that it's going to be a tough go for them.
Can you just talk about Bellator 160 at Honda Center, a place that has so much MMA history?
When I think about this fight, the genesis of this fight was really the little shouting match between Pitbull and Michael Chandler. And when I was watching it, I was like, oh, we might have something here, right? There's a lot of heat, and you guys know, you saw what happened to Pitbull's brother, and he won. And then after the fight, Pitbull comes up to me and says, I want to fight Chandler. And I said, no, you can't just, fight the champ. You gotta warn your way. He said, what do I have to do? I said, well, let me get back to you. So we reached out to his camp. A week later, we said, hey, #1 contender fight against Benson Henderson at 55, because Benson wanted to come back down to 155. He had already told us that, so we knew that was going to be the #1 fight, whether it was him or somebody else. And then the more I thought about it, I know that Pitbull's having a hard time making weight sometimes, in the past, and he's doing all kinds of stuff. So we said, hey, why don't you come fight Benson? And he loved it. He said, if I can fight Chandler, I'll go beat up Benson Henderson, and then I'll go fight Chandler. That's what he said to me.
When we just interviewed him, kind of made the possibility of him winning this fight, fighting Michael Chandler, winning the title. Asked him if he would stay at 155. He said no.
Yeah, it's.
Is that a worry for you to put a guy in there at your title shot that might not even stay there?
No, that's what he says now too. But who knows, right? He's not getting any younger, and that they move up, and fighters move up in weight all the time. Fighters move down in weight. Look what Benson Henderson did. He moved to 170, and the reason why Benson moved to 170 was because he wanted to fight right away. He didn't want to wait, and he knew he would have to cut down, make weight. It was going to be a long process for him. So, situations, situations happen in this sport, and right now, that's what the situation unfolds in this scenario. But listen, in this sport, anything can happen.
There's been a lot of super fights we've seen in the last 2 years. Do you feel like that's the direction that the sport is moving in? It's more fan-centric fights?
You know what? And you guys see it, and I think that, we talk about the fun fights, right? I always said Bellator's going to do some fun fights. And let me tell you, we receive some criticism and this, but let me tell you, the very first fun fight that I saw in person that I said, wow, this is nuts, was when Bob Sapp fought Nogueira, right, in Pride. Right? Here's a pro wrestler that had no MMA experience, and he was a football player, right? Pro wrestler. He trained like 2 or 3 weeks because I was part of that whole thing. He goes to Japan, he fights Nogueira. And he didn't know how to fight, remember? And so he pile drives him, boom. And I'm like, oh my God, I think he knocked him out. And Bob told me later, he goes, I knocked him out. And then when I reached over, I said, are you okay? And then he woke up, and then he's, I got caught, and it's just a phenomenal story. You should have Bob tell you that someday. But, that was the first time where I said, hey, this is going to be, a lot of fun to put these fights on, because number 1 versus number 2 is not always what the fans want to see, right? Or it's not always what the general public wants to see. And so I think at Bellator here we do both. We've done some fun fights, we've done some hardcore fights, and I think that 90% of our fights that we've done have been for the hardcore audience. And you'll see some more. I mean, right now we don't have anything scheduled, but when the situation arises, I have always loved putting those fights together.
Is there anything you've been working on in particular?
That's top secret, man. I can't talk about that. Danny would kill me.
Just talk about bringing this event to Southern California too. Obviously it's a huge place. Huntington Beach has a lot of guys. And what does that mean to bring an event like this to Southern California?
Yeah, I mean, really, it was brought up to me by John Slusser, who is running, President Strike Sports, and he said, look, we want to put on a back-to-back weekend. And originally I thought, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to have boxing and MMA on the same night. Like the fans can come watch a great watch Robert Guerrero and Benson Henderson the same night. But then they explained to me it's going to be 2 different nights. And I said, look, it's going to be a fun weekend. If you live in the LA area or in the Anaheim, Orange County area, you go to the events on Friday night, watch great MMA, and then on Saturday night you can watch great boxing. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Is there any plans of more SoCal fights in the future over this year?
Say that one more time, sorry?
Is there any fights scheduled in SoCal this year, besides this one?
No, this is it. This is the only one in Southern Cal this year. You guys know we're going international. We have some dates that we're going to be announcing really soon. We're going to go to Israel, Argentina. We're going back to Florence, Italy. We have a fight, and back at the Mohegan Sun. We got a full schedule. We're going to have a lot of fights. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Originally, Baby Slice was on this card. He got injured. He's out of the card. Any news updates on him or when he might be fighting?
Yeah, as far as the day of when he'll fight again, that hasn't been determined. But I will say this: that he didn't tear. I mean, he didn't rip it completely, or it's not to the point where he needs surgery. So the doctor's saying that he needs to have like 3 weeks off, 4 weeks off, so then he can start training again in the next 4 weeks. And then if I was a betting man, I'd say he'd probably fight before the end of the year somewhere.
What's going on with Bellator kickboxing?
We have something we're going to announce on Monday.
On Monday?
Yeah, on Monday. So
next fight card? Or?
Yeah, the next fight card. Probably the next 2 fight cards.
Next 2 fight cards.
And we'll have a big announcement on Friday night on the broadcast, kind of laying our schedule for the next couple of big fights, the next 2 big tentpoles, so it'll be fun. Tune in.
Any interest on your end to sign Chris Algieri? I know before he was a pro boxer.
Yeah, you know what? He was a karate guy before he was a boxer, right? Yeah. So, I know he fought in the Chuck Norris League. He fought in the Chuck Norris League, and great accolades. So I know we're talking to him. I just think we're trying to make the right economics work for everybody. But if we can, we'll definitely do it because that would be fantastic.
So he did have interest on his end.
Oh yeah, no, they've already reached out. Yeah. I know we're already talking. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, guys.